Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Beyond the Brochure from William Jessup University. My name is Jared Weitrup, my co-host Ian Dawson, and today we are joined by our lead faculty for Aviation and ROTC here at Jessup, Mr. Lou Ng. Lou, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jared.
So we want to just today talk a little bit about the aviation program, tell you a little bit more about what it is and the personality behind the program itself. So Ian, go ahead. How about you lead us off?
Yeah, for sure. Lou, again, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Very well.
So give us a little brief overview of the aviation program.
Sure, of course. So over a 4-year period, our students will graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Aviation. And that's very important. As you know, most major airlines require the pilot applicants to have a 4-year degree.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very important for a young person to know that going into aviation, that they don't just get the ratings and then 10 years down the road they apply for a commercial airline job and then they say, oh, you don't have a degree. So it's really important for them to know. Our students will typically be taking a combination of academics, being class,
Of course.
ground school, and they'll be flying concurrently. Each semester they'll be doing all 3 activities. So whatever it is that they're learning in the classroom, they're actually applying that knowledge in the cockpit in the airplane that very same week.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is. That way they can better understand and reinforces that what good airmanship is, because they're actually applying that knowledge, the academic knowledge in the cockpit setting. So that's very good. You know what? Aviation is a great career, right? It's got, you don't start off with great pay, but it's a modest pay. But after a couple of years, to be honest, you could be earning hundreds of thousands of dollars as a first officer or as a captain.
Wow.
And in fact, I understand that Asian Airlines, their captains are earning up to $400 to $500,000 annually.
Oh my goodness.
So that's very good pay.
Jared, we should go be pilots.
Yes, we're in the wrong
You're
line
in the
of
right
work
place.
here.
Should we enroll?
Yeah, we enroll right here.
Do our little bachelor's here.
That's right. And not just pay, but aviation is a very interesting career, and there's a lot of variety. So when we think about pilots, we typically think about the guy sitting behind the wheel, autopilot, bus driver in the air, right?
Right.
Well, let me tell you a little quick story. Our first aviation student actually didn't know what he wanted to do after high school. So, it's, as a bonus, his dad said, I'll take you on a fishing trip to a remote area in Alaska as a treat.
Okay.
And so while he and his dad and this bush pilot was up in the air flying over the wilderness of Alaska in a seaplane, it dawned on him, Dad, I know what to do by life.
That's awesome.
Right.
So his plan is when he graduates, he's going to be a bush pilot.
Oh, I love
flying
it.
over the Alaskan wilderness. Who knew?
I love it.
That's
another
crazy.
job. There's a lot of variety in aviation.
So cool.
Last thing, there's a big demand for aviators. We have a worldwide shortage right now of aviators. And so that's going to go on for many, many years. So when you get out, when you graduate, finding a job won't be very difficult because of the shortage of pilots right now.
Sure. So great information. Just for people tuning in, what's the cause of the shortage? What is it that's leading to this, that is going to lead to however many number of jobs that are needed over the next several years?
Very good question. The Boeing study says that there are about 30,000 plus job openings each year for the next 20 years.
Wow.
And we don't have enough students in the pipeline to fill all those jobs. And the primary reasons are these. One, did you know that as an airline pilot, you have to retire by law at age 65?
I didn't.
I didn't know that.
It makes a lot of sense, though.
It does.
Right. You don't want an old codger like me flying behind with
I
200
trust you.
passengers, right? I'm not 65 yet.
Of course not.
And so anyway, because of that rule, you think about it, a lot of our captains, our senior pilots were military trained during the Vietnam era.
Right.
And that was about 40 years ago, 45 years ago.
It's coming up.
A lot of them are hitting that 65.
Right.
And now there's a big exodus of senior pilots.
Gotcha.
So we need pilots to fill those openings.
Right.
Second reason is the FAA actually in 2013, about 6 years ago, they increased the number of flight hours required to be a commercial pilot from 250 hours. 250. Do you know what it is today?
No.
That's a 213. You need 1,500 flight hours to apply for your airline transport pilot license. That's 6-fold increase, right?
Wow.
So if you're a student and you want to be an aviator for the commercial airlines, you're looking at 250. Now it's 1,500. What do you think about? Cost.
Right.
And time.
Right.
So those two elements discourages a lot of new students from going to aviation to begin with. And the third reason is that the airline industry is growing. So countries are doing better. People have more disposable income, and more disposable income, they want to travel.
Right.
Travel, they need airplanes and pilots. The three regions that are going to have the highest pilot shortage is supposed to be in Asia, and then North America and Europe. So just remember that.
Lots of cool places to go.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the flight hours really make you understand why aviation as a mode of transportation even is safer than a car. If you think about what it takes to get a driver's license and get behind the wheel of a car, I can't even imagine 1,500 hours of driving in order to get that license. But with aviation, it makes sense.
That's a good point.
Even on the back end, I was in the DMV the other day having to renew my license, and there was a 90-year-old person trying to get their driver's license. Great, awesome person. I wouldn't necessarily want them piloting a plane that I'd be on. So it's crazy that. And so obviously, like, we've talked about like aviation program. It sounds really interesting. Obviously, there's a huge need for pilots. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, obviously, like when they graduate from Jessup, some of those jobs and careers that the students that do aviation could find themselves doing?
I would say typically maybe when a student graduates, they'll start off as a certified flight instructor.
Okay.
They're basically training new aviation students on flight. They can also be towing banners. You've seen banner towers up in the air. And they can also be working as pipeline inspection inspectors, flying basically over pipelines to make sure that everything's
Interesting.
safe. And then they can work their way up to being what we call a corporate pilot, where they'll be carrying small loads of passengers, flying for companies and corporations. And after a couple of hundred more hours, they can move up to being what we call a Part 135 pilot, where they'll be flying small loads of freight and passengers on demand, charter flights. And then from there, they can work their way up to being a regional airline pilot. Those are airlines like you've heard of SkyWest and Horizon.
Yeah.
They fly smaller routes. They fly smaller loads, anywhere from 20 passengers, no more than 100. So from there, they get to 1,500 hours, they can apply for the major airlines. Major airlines, as you know, are like United, Delta, and American Airlines. So that's the natural progression of a pilot's career. And of course, there's also the military option as well.
Right. So with all of that in mind, what are a couple things that stand out that really differentiate this program from, I guess, a standard degree program that you would get here at Jessup or, maybe any other college?
It's a very good question. Can you imagine when you're flying, you're actually earning college credits?
It's amazing.
That's how our program's designed. So when a student graduates, they'll have 120 plus units, right? About 30 of those will come from their ground school and their flight.
Okay.
So that's almost about a third or fourth of your education. So a lot of the flying time actually translates to college credits. And also when our students graduate from our program, they will have the certifications and the licenses needed to pursue the airline transport pilot down the road. So when they finish with our program, they'll have earned their private pilot's license, their instrument rating, their commercial rating, their multi-engine rating, and they could be a certified flight instructor as well.
Sure.
So those are two big distinctions. They're actually earning units while they're flying.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That's a great
I'd
deal.
love if I could get units when I'm driving home. I mean, you know what I mean? Just like clocking time. That'd be
Right.
great. Well, last one, obviously, we're talking about aviation. We're talking about flying. They're getting those credits, which is awesome. Tell us a little about that flight school that you're connecting with.
I think we have an awesome flight school. So we fly out of Auburn. It's about maybe a 20, 25-minute drive from here, but it's in a beautiful part of our region. I think we have some great instructors there. Many of them are military trained. Not only are they well trained, but they have some of them have decades of flight experience.
Sure.
I know several of them personally, and I would say that not only are they great aviators, but they're actually good instructors as well.
That's good.
I also find them to be people of high integrity. The men and women that fly in our flight school, they are good instructors and they have high integrity. I fly out of Auburn, and I would say that's probably one of the more ideal places to train.
Sure.
It's a beautiful airport, but the weather's great, right? The weather in this region is great, so you virtually
Really
can
nice.
fly year-round.
True.
Year-round. And so I fly out of there, and I often see the snow-capped mountains of the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah.
And I tell you something, from 4,000 feet, it's always breathtaking because
Sure.
you're high enough to see the panoramic view, but you're low enough to see the details as well.
Right.
And our flight school is open 7 days a week.
Okay.
So there's a lot of flexibility for students to schedule a flight around their campus life and their academics.
Gotcha.
They could fly on weekends, of course, during breaks,
Love
and
that.
even the summer for those that want to fly more.
Perfect.
So there's a lot less conflict.
Flexibility
with
of schedule.
student life. Yeah.
Sure.
So those are really good examples of why we picked this flight school, and I think we have an ideal location
Yeah.
for our flight school.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it. Yeah, it's a brand new program. This has just launched this last semester. We're really excited for the future of this program and to really see how we can prepare students to fill these needs that this nation and the world beyond really have. So if you guys are interested in this program, if this is something that has really struck a chord with you, we would love to get you connected with this man right here in the middle, Lou. You can go to our website, jessup.edu/academics/undergrad, and get connected with us. If you want to come onto campus, we have a lot of ways to visit, and part of that visit can be meeting with Lou, talking about flight school, talking about the program, and all the little details that we didn't cover here, including financial aid. Jessup.edu/visit is going to be the best way to do that. So, Lou, we thank you again. I have one last question for you that we are going to try and ask everybody who comes onto this show. As a whole, what is your favorite part about William Jessup University?
I don't think I would teach anywhere else, right? I love this university. I think the one thing that comes to mind is that the family feel of staff and faculty. My colleagues are, in many instances, are some of my best friends, and we treat each other like family. In fact, next week, we're going to have our department come to my house and have a barbecue. I mean,
Love
that's the
it.
stuff that we do.
Yeah.
We really enjoy each other's company and fellowship.
Sure.
So I really like the close family feel of our campus and faculty and staff.
Yeah. I
Awesome.
could not agree more. I mean, we see that as staff members, we see that every day. So it's great to see that the faculty does that too. But
Yep.
thanks for coming on. We really
Thank you so much.
appreciate it. And guys, we will see you next time on Beyond the Brochure. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Zeme, Facebook, wherever, YouTube, subscribe, hit that like button, and we will see you next time. Take care, guys.
Thanks.